Hey guys, how's it going? In the spirit of Infinity War coming out this weekend, I thought I would do a little recap on the Marvel movies so far and talk about my personal 5 favorite Marvel movies. I've been watching Marvel movies since they first came out. I saw Iron Man in the theaters. I was a wee lad of 9 years old, and now I'm here almost 19, so it really hits deep to see this franchise, like what it's become. It's so big now, it's ridiculous. We're finally going to get to see all of our heroes together in one movie again. It's probably going to be one of the biggest movies ever released. On that note, let's get right into it. So, at number 5, we have The Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier was awesome. I remember seeing it in theaters and instantly falling in love with it because I didn't really like Captain America. Thought it was kind of like cheesy. It was still entertaining, but I didn't really grab the character for me. And I liked him a little bit more in Avengers. But once Cap 2 came out, his character like really developed. I liked the action in the movie a lot. I thought it was very well done. The whole plot of the movie with Hydra taking over from the inside, corrupting S.H.I.E.L.D. I just thought it was so cool, like how they were playing mind games back and forth, and it's just really well thought out film, and it's not just like, let's tell jokes the whole time. The villain was interesting because he wasn't like a superhero or anything like that. He was more of like a guy in the chair villain that was manipulating everything. The whole thing with Bucky and how Cap was emotionally tied in with the story. Not to mention that finale was awesome with those ships that were floating in the air and how they tricked them to shoot at each other. If you haven't seen it, definitely go see it. So coming in at number 4 is a movie that is actually pretty recent, and you might be a little surprised because usually I like to let the dust settle on my movies before I put them high up on my ranking, but you know what? This one's worth it. Number 4, Thor Ragnarok. There's a lot of reasons why I like Thor, because first of all, the first 2 Thors, if you remember correctly, weren't that good. Thor 1, Thor 2. I kind of felt like weird after leaving Thor 1. It was very dark and gothic. Asgard really wasn't an appealing place. This movie really brought some life into Asgard and Thor's whole world. I thought it was so funny. The action was cool. It didn't feel like all the other Marvel movies' attempts at comedies. A lot of them just do the same kind of jokes over and over again, and then there's a bad guy at the end and they kill him. This movie had a comedy director, so it felt like the jokes were new and fresh, and Chris Hemsworth really landed a lot of them. There's a lot of improv too. The whole snake line is one of my favorite parts of the movie. That was all Chris Hemsworth off the top of his head. The soundtrack was awesome. If you guys know Amon Amarth, the Viking metal band, they sing about Thor all the time. Why can't we get Amon Amarth in a Thor movie? Otherwise, the soundtrack was still pretty good. Hulk was in it. Hulk is another one of my favorite superheroes, so it was cool to see him in a movie again, because usually he's only been in the Avengers now. Universal has the rights to make a solo Hulk movie, but Marvel has the rights to Hulk, so I don't really understand how that works. But anyway, it was cool to see Hulk. There was a lot of memorable side characters like Korg, and the story just really played out well. The only thing that really wasn't that memorable was the villain. It didn't really bother me that much because there was just so much other good stuff going on that we didn't really need to rely on the villain that much. And remember how I said the old Thors kind of suck? Well, they kind of referenced that in this movie because all the old like sidekicks in the Thor movies that we never really cared about, they just get killed off in 2 seconds. So it's kind of like a big F you to the old Thors and like, this is Thor now. Thor's cool now. And the movie also is kind of inspiring how Odin like shows Thor that he doesn't really need the hammer. He's powerful himself. Are you the god of hammers? No. God of lightning! And the movie has balls too. Spoiler alert, Thor loses an eye. That's pretty dark for a Marvel movie if I'd say so myself. Thor Ragnarok, number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the first Avengers. Avengers 2 and Civil War, which is basically Avengers 3, were kind of all over the place and I didn't really enjoy them. They kind of felt like filler movies. Nothing really was accomplished. Avengers was the first go at it, and Avengers was awesome. It was so cool to finally see these heroes all together because we've been waiting so long. We know they're in the same universe, so why can't they all just work together? And Avengers was the first time that happened, and it just worked so well. I remember being blown away in the theaters like, this is one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. If somebody doesn't have Avengers on their top 5 Marvel movie list, then there's something wrong with them. It has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The villain, Loki, he's the first time that people other than Thor get to see what he's like. He really steals the show in some ways. He's not like one-sided villain like the guy from Thor 2, like Elf Guy or anything like that. So you've all seen it, so I don't really need to talk about it that much, but if you don't think it's powerful and awesome, just watch the scene where they circle around the heroes right before they go back to fight. It's timeless. We're going to look back at that like 30 years from now. Like, remember that movie? That was cool. So coming in at number 2 is Iron Man 1. Now, Iron Man 1 is the movie that started the whole series in the first place. So without Iron Man's success, we might not even had a Marvel Cinematic Universe. I can go into how good at acting Robert Downey Jr. is, but that's kind of been done a million times. So let's just talk about why the other parts of the movie really shined. Now, the Iron Man suit is just so cool. and we get to see all the stages of it and how Tony actually builds it. It goes from living in a cave and making like a scrap suit that can barely fly. It doesn't really fly, he just shoots in the air and then crashes. The action is so cool, you know, like Iron Man fighting the terrorists, it's just like punches one and flies in the air. And the villain was also really awesome, Obadiah. He kind of was like so connected with Iron Man, it was kind of unsuspected that he was just gonna completely try and fuck him over. And at the end, when they had that epic battle where they both had their suits, it was cool the first time. Iron Man 2 kind of wrecked it, and let's not even get into Iron Man 3. I remember seeing all these commercials being like, Iron Man, #1 movie in America, like a month straight. Like, well-deserved Iron Man. That was a great movie. Coming in at #1, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this might be pretty obvious. Everybody loves Guardians of the Galaxy, but for good reason. It really landed on everything Marvel strides for. Having a family-friendly, awesome action movie, having great jokes for everyone, the kids and the adults. The characters are also memorable and unique. The writing, action, like I said, just so great. And another reason to really like it is that meanwhile, while all this crazy like stuff is going on in the Marvel universe, we just got a minute to just separate ourselves from that. Have fun in this universe instead of worrying about like, oh, where's Iron Man? Stop comparing Iron Man to Captain America. You know, these guys are cool. These guys over here are cool. We don't need to think about that for an episode until they meet this Saturday. But that's irrelevant. I remember seeing it 3 or 4 times in the theater because I loved it so much. Still love it now. It's definitely my #1 choice. That's all my time. Thank you for watching, and let me know what your top 5 Marvel movies are down below. And I'll see you next time. Enjoy Infinity War.